Members of the organized labor today stormed the major streets of Nigeria in what is a forced attack in a labor squeeze over the removal of fuel subsidy by the Bola Tinubu administration. And today, President Bola Tinubu transmitted 19 names in a batch B, or what one could describe as a supplementary list of his proposed cabinet members. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Okimaloye in Abuja. So much, like always, to talk about on the program. And you saw, whatever city you may be watching, if you're not in Nigeria today, there was a massive labor protest on the streets of major cities in the country, from Lagos to Abuja and major cities across the country. Members of the labor union workers in Nigeria took to the streets in response to their leadership asking for the reversal of government's decision to remove a subsidy and some of the policies that have come afterwards. We'll be giving you insight. And one of the leaders of the movement will be joining us on the program tonight. Plus, the president has transmitted another round of names to the National Assembly to fill up the cabinet for the federal cabinet. His chief of staff, Mbeja Biamila, submitted the names to the Senate today. So we'll be dissecting those issues for you. But before we get started with some of the conversations, let's check out some of your political roundup stories.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has opened and closed its defense in the petition filed by Mr. Ladi Adebutu, the Ogun State governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the March 18 governorship election against Governor Dapo Abiodun at the Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Abeokuta. The People's Democratic Party and its governorship candidate Adebutu in the petition are challenging the victory of Governor Abiodun based on alleged non-compliance with the Electoral Act. The petitioners called voters and party agents as witnesses to prove that there were disruptions in different polling units across the state. Ahead of the November governorship elections in Bayelsa, Imo and Kogi states, the People's Democratic Party has inaugurated campaign councils that will work to give the party victory at the elections. The acting national chairman of the party, Mr. Umar Damagu, says the party is determined to retain Bayelsa state in addition to reclaiming Imo and Kogi states as PDP-governed states. The chairman, who officially presented certificates of return to the governorship candidates of the party in Bayelsa, Imo and Kogi states, advocates the need for synergy to guarantee victory for the party.
I want to challenge everyone in this country to look at the states that are governed by PDP governors vis-a-vis the other parties. We are always excellent.
And ahead of the Kogi governorship election, 5 political parties under the aegis of United Progressives political parties in the state and their candidates have endorsed the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Mr. Ahmed Ododo, as their sole candidate in the November 11 governorship election. Spokesperson of the group, Mr. Abdulgafar Dirisu, stated this at a news conference in Lokoja, the state capital. Mr. Dirisu described the APC candidate as a man of humility and focus, noting that he is capable of moving the state to a greater height. A federal lawmaker representing Oguta, Ohaji Egbema and Oru West Federal Constituency, Mr. Eugene Dibuago, has berated his colleague Ugochinyere Ikaguono for spreading falsehood on behalf of the Imo caucus of the Federal House of Representatives, noting that at no time did any member of the House of Reps meet under the guise of the Imo caucus to take any decision on the security situation in Imo State. Reacting to a news conference organized by Mr. Ugochinyere in Owerri, the Imo State capital, Mr. Dibuago asked the public to discredit the claim as it is a figment of his imagination. He called on security operatives to question Ugochinyere for what he terms impersonation by the lawmaker.
There you have it. You've been served with some of your political roundup stories. Let's tell you that James Cleverly, who is the Foreign Secretary of the United Kingdom, is being in Nigeria, and today he met with President Bola Tinubu at the presidential villa. Mr. Cleverly, who had earlier spoken during a business briefing in Lagos yesterday. Today, he was meeting with the president and discussing ways of mutual relations and of benefit to both countries. And one of our top stories for conversation tonight is the transmission of 19 names from President Bola Tinubu to add to the 28 that he has already, that has been now screened by the National Assembly. Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila, the Chief of Staff to the President, was the one who took the names, the list, to the National Assembly and presented it to the Senate President. This was just about the time when the rest of the ministerial nominees were supposed to take this, the stand to experience their screening process. And there you have it, the list, which had 90 names. And some of the names on that list include that of the former governor of Osun State, Boyega Oyetola, former governor of Kebbi State, former governor of Zamfara State, former governor of Plateau State, former Niger State lawmaker, Senator Shabi Abdullahi, Mr. Ibrahim Gaidam, Lola Ade John. Others include Professor Tahi Maman, was a former Director General of the Nigerian Law School and a professor of law. Senator Alkali Ahmed Saidu, Senator Heineken Lokobri, a former Minister of State for Agriculture, Oba Megari Hamadu, Sefana Abitruz Jabalo, and Shuaib Abubakar Audu from Kogi State, and a few others who are also listed. Some of those who include IT experts, which have now been drafted on the list of the ministerial nominees. We'll be getting to analyze that for you tonight. In most cities of the country today, members of the organized labor, including the Nigerian Labour Congress, the Trade Union Congress, to the streets of Nigeria, protesting for the reversal and some of the major demands of workers on the heels of some of the policies that are being released by the Bola Tinubu administration. The workers, led by some of their leaders, are saying in major parts of the city. For example, in Abuja, they trooped through from the Unity Fountain and they walked to the National Assembly, where they gained entrance within the premises of the National Assembly, and some lawmakers had to address them. In Lagos, we saw right activists and labor leaders who also led the protests, and same thing happened in most parts of the country. Much later in the day, the leaders, President of the Nigerian Labour Congress and President of the TUC, both of them were in the presidential villa to meet with President Bola Tinubu, and after their meeting, there was something that they came up with. And let me allow you to listen to both men after their meeting with the president today.
The issues are the same issues that led to the protest today. And we have, he has expressed his position, made some commitment, which we are taking side by side with what the National Assembly said, the Senate said, and we're taking it back to the office with our colleagues there to review it and release a document on our next line of action. We have gone deeper into them. You know, the brokers are broader issues, but there are one or two things that need immediate attention. No one person can call it off. That's why I say we have to go back to the office so that they will look at it, the ESCO looks at it before they come up. And by tomorrow, the NSC will have equally their next meeting, you know, to look at a bigger picture.
Did the president tell you to suspend the protest?
The president is a pro-democratic activist, so he understands protests.
All right. So that's the NSA president. Beside him is the president of the TUC, who is now joined us live in our studio, Mr. Festus Osifo. Thank you so much, President TUC, for joining us tonight on the program.
Thank you so much, Shehu. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Good evening, Nigerians.
You see, coming from your attire from the street.
Yeah, absolutely. Just as you showed, we're just coming from the villa. So, I mean, since morning we have been like this, actually. So, trying to draw the government attentions to the issues that have concerned to us. Yeah.
Would you say your protest today was successful?
Yes, largely I think it was because for workers all over the nation to come together and to clamor, to let the government, to draw the attention of government to the difficulties that they are facing, to draw the attention of government to the fact that it's difficult for us to even pay transport fare to work, to draw the attention of government that in the last 2 months that this fuel subsidy has been removed, that Nigerians, most especially the masses, has been passing through excruciating pains. So this is one of the forms with which Labour has to express, you know, the displeasure to what is going on in the country. So largely, we think it was successful because you saw the rally across the length and breadth of the country in Abuja here, just as you highlighted. We went to Ministry of Justice for a single reason. Then we also went to the National Assembly as well. Then later this evening, we were invited by the President to have an interaction on this same subject. So largely, I could say that the relevant quarter that we wanted their attention, we caught their attention, and we had some discussions.
Why did your people pull down the gates of the National Assembly? What happened?
Yeah, so when we got there, as of yesterday, the route with which we want to take, we communicated this to government. I mean, we had a meeting with the Inspector General of Police where we told him that this is the direction and this is the route we want to take. We also sent some people as well to National Assembly to inform them. If you check the protest today, against the expectation of government, against the expectation of naysayers, it was largely peaceful. I could not see anywhere where Nigerian workers were destroying any property. We don't do that. We are responsible men and women, and we are creators of wealth. So at that point, you know, when you have a lot of people, so we met with the police and we discussed with them right there that we're here yesterday and we informed you that we want to visit the National Assembly and we told you where we want to occupy a National Assembly and address Nigerians from there. So it was in that process as myself and the president of NLC, we were engaging the police. Then we saw the gate shattered. At the end of the day, you know, when you have a lot of people right there, it may be a bit difficult for you to completely account of how it went down. But for us, we told them the best thing to have been done was to leave the gate open because we went in, we came out, there was no single incident whatsoever.
Did the police help you in manning, providing you security?
Yes, they did. From the Unity Fountain, where we started from in the morning, so we had the police there, and their presence was quite impressive. So we marched across the streets of Abuja, and they were there. There was no single incident.
What about across the country? Any kind of skirmish? Any kind of disturbances? Because there were also those who were protesting against you. In some part of the country.
Yes, you know, the right to protest is very simple. We chose today to protest. So for those who think they want to protest in support of the hardship that they are facing, they can come out tomorrow and protest in support of the hardship. But for us,
did you meet them? Did you meet them? Because so Abuja, some of them were in Abuja.
Yes, in Abuja, yes, we saw some people in Abuja, but there was no confrontation whatsoever. So we saw some people along the line, but there wasn't any issue at all. So on our own path, nobody confronted us in any way.
All right.
Then again, just to address the issue about what happened across the nation. So we are still collating reports, but from the initial report that we have that came to us, as of now, there was no any form of incident that we have recorded, but we will still go back. We are still getting reports across the length and breadth of the country. We will analyze, internalize, and we will have the final position on that.
So your people were out today. That means they were not at their duty post.
Yes, largely yes, because you can't be on the street at the same time working as well.
So it's a partial down-tooling.
But it wasn't a strike. It was a rally. It was a protest. So at the end of the day, you could see if the entire Nigerian workforce came to the street of Abuja, I'm not sure that the entire street would have been able to take the full workforce. In fact, if it's just the people in our workers in Secretariat, that came out fully, it could be like times 4, times 5 of the numbers that you saw today. So we did not enforce that you mustn't go to work. Because if we had enforced that, we would have shut the gate of the Secretariat and shut the gate of major institutions, agencies, and all that in the country. You could see, today you could walk into the bank, and we have our members in the bank. We didn't ask them, we did not pull them out. So it was just a protest.
Okay, so no strike?
No, it wasn't a strike.
And it's all over today?
Yes, okay, so as of now, I won't be able to say it here fully that it's all over because immediately we left the president, we went to the office, we were trying to do some analysis, look at what the president told us, vis-a-vis what was also said in National Assembly as represented by the Chief Whip of the National Assembly, Senator Ali Undume. So we are collating all this, we are having conversations on this, but before the next 1 or 2 hours, a communication will come out to clearly address this.
Naturally, it's supposed to go on indefinitely.
Yes, correct.
The protest, you're supposed to be on the street, marching every day. That was the plan.
Until we have some concrete commitment, yes.
All right, so let's now go, let's backtrack. Okay. Let's go to the villa. Few hours ago, or few minutes ago, when you went to the president. So you met with the president?
Correct.
Yourself and the NLC president?
And also the NUPENG president.
The NUPENG president.
Correct.
And also you had other federal government officials there, isn't it? Or was it only the president that was at the meeting?
No, we had the president, we had the GCU of NNPC Limited, we also had the essay to the president on strategy, media, and communications. Yeah, Mr. Dele Alake, he was also there. Yeah, so they were 3 on their part, on our own side as well, we were 3.
Okay. Yeah. So, and it was in the president's office?
Correct.
So, what was the demand of the president?
Yes. First of all, we let President know our, we told him our displeasure. We told him that a committee the last meeting we had before we set up the subcommittees was actually on the 19th of June. That we said that within 8 weeks, we are going to complete a lot of tasks and we will wind down in 8 weeks. We chose that 8 weeks because we didn't want the committee to be there in perpetuity. So that was why we restricted ourselves to 2 months. That it took a while for us to do the housekeeping and bring the committee together. And as the committees, we have started meeting, we have not had some level of traction. So we brought that to the president. And we also told him that, yes, we listened to his address. And what he has brought in, what he talked about in his address could be a baseline, could be the starting point. Because for us, we think that government, that the things in that address was not far-reaching enough. And we also told him that there are some areas as well in the address that was not also talked about. Areas like the local refinery, because we learned that contract was awarded a while ago. So where are we today? When will the local refinery start functioning? Then we also made some other suggestions to Mr. President on what we think could be done in the immediate. Then on the issue of wage award, you know, when the president made the broker, so he talked about the issue of minimum wage. But we also told Mr. President that, yes, we understand that this issue of the minimum wage may take some time because of the parties involved. You have to bring in NECA, you have to bring in, the labor, you have to bring in state governors, you have to bring, so it's a bit large. Before we could agree on minimum wage, could take some time. That what we want is something around wage award, that this is what we want in the immediate, and this is what he can do with an executive order in the next few days. So we put all these to Mr. President, and at the end of the day, he gave us some level of assurances around some of these items. And I think in the next few hours or thereabout, a formal communication will be out around this. Because even on the issue of CNG, we also mentioned that. And they said that they are going to make some announcement on that in the next few days, probably between now and Friday. So for us, that was quite okay. Make that announcement. Let us have concrete terms. Let us have what you need to do with timelines. Because Nigerians today are suffering. We cannot start using medium-term solutions to solve a short-term issue, because the problem is now. So we can't say that, okay, we'll roll out some things that between now and March next year. So, between now and March next year, how many people will survive between now and then?
Let's take the issue one after the other.
All right.
The Port Harcourt refinery and the Kaduna refinery.
Yes.
There was a plan to rehabilitate and fix them.
Yes.
There were plans by government under the Timmy Silva when he was Minister of State for Petroleum and I had an interview with him that the timeline for it is past. We were told that the whole Port Harcourt refinery was supposed to start by December of last year. We are in August. It's almost a year after that promise he made that promise in September that the old Port Harcourt refinery will be functional by end of December. What was the response of the president when you asked him about the refineries, local refineries?
Yes, when we asked him, so even before now, part of the things they've also said was issues around supply chain. But when we asked him, we told him categorically, tell us, when will the refinery start functioning? And what we heard from them was that by the end of this year, that the refinery, the old Port Harcourt refinery will come on stream most definitely by the end of the year. So that was what they told us today. But again, just
how do you hold, do you have any means of holding them accountable?
Yes. So again, you know, even then when Silva, you know, I also doubled as the president of Pengasan. So that gave me some, I mean, I have some extra information and knowledge regarding this. And again, too, then when I was president of Pengasan, before I became president of TUC, so it's good we have full disclosure. So myself and the president of NUPENG, we sit at the steering committee of this refinery maintenance just to ensure that we keep piling pressure on government to do what was right. So as at then, when Silva made that commitment to say that before the end of last year, I addressed press and I told them that this is clearly not possible because by what we are seeing, by the meetings we attend, we visit the refineries to see what is happening. Our members are currently there assisting them in doing some of these maintenance. That from all the conversations we have had, that this refinery cannot come on stream by the end of last year. But today, they told us that by the end of this year, that the old Port Harcourt refinery will come on stream. We tend to, because the extra information we have, we believe it is possible, but we need to keep check on them to ensure that we actually achieve that feat.
So what about Kaduna refinery? Any updates? Did the government give you updates on that?
Yes, if you remember very well, the Port Harcourt refinery is a total rehabilitation.
Yeah.
But the Kaduna and the Warri refinery is a quick fix.
Yeah.
So both two refineries, they awarded the contract to DEU, but at a particular point, DEU mobilized to Warri. So, but Kaduna, they refused to mobilize because of security issues. So Warri is actually ahead of Kaduna, but as of today, they have not given us a clear timeline on that.
So the president only spoke about old Port Harcourt refinery.
Yes, correct.
Which has, I'm trying to remember how many capacity.
Is about, I think about 60,000 barrel capacity, yeah.
And with that, and the Dangote refinery, because that was supposed to be a buffer. Dangote refinery, the old Port Harcourt refinery combined, there are those who believe that we may not have any business importing refined crude into the country with those two refineries working optimally.
Yes, correct. But it's going to take some time for Dangote refinery to get to that optimal point that you just said now. But even if Dangote refinery is working up to 60% installed capacity, then you add that, although the Port Harcourt refinery is quite small, but if you add that, with the fact that today our consumption has come down from the reported consumption of about 65, 66, 70 million liters consumed per day, that today we now have this level of consumption somewhere around about 40, 45 million liters. Yeah, these refineries could work. But again, to also state that from our findings, we pray every day and we push and so we hope that Dangote refinery should actually come on stream because we learned that they have not actually, they have not started the full pre-commissioning using crude. You understand? So for you to be able to know fully when the refineries will come on stream, you may have done a lot of simulations, but you need crude to put crude in there and use crude in doing some of the pre-commissioning stages. As of today, that has not commenced. So the Dangote refinery, we are not quite sure whether it will come up between now and the end of the year. But again, as of now, they may have their own mechanisms because it's 80% privately owned that we may not know. But from our external view, we don't think that it will come into even up to 50% production before the end of the year.
So one of your demands and one of the agitation of the labor, of organized labor, is that you had a conversation when fuel went to 530 naira per liter. And a few weeks after, it went to 610 naira per litre, and Labour said, no, this has to be reversed to the 500 because the conversation that we're having was around 500 naira. Did you put that before the president?
Yes, so we felt that when you are negotiating, I mean, there should be utmost good faith in the sense that, okay, we were crying, we were pushing, we were shouting that, no, Nigerians paying about 530, in some places 537 naira per litre was quite high. So we started conversations around that. Then at a point, it now went up to where to about 617 in some places. And if you go to far north, it was also much more than that. Yes, we also complained about that. So what they also told us was that it was because of the issues around exchange rate. But we also said that at times the exchange rate issues could be managed better, because for us, we feel that there is no nation in the world, there is no country in the world, from Japan to Germany, from Japan to the Eurozone, from the Eurozone to America, from America to China, that allows their currency to be 100% floated. There are some safeguards that must be put in place. So what we have also requested is that one of the problems, even beyond the issues of PMS, one of the greatest problems we have today in Nigeria is tied to the issue of exchange rate. Because literally everything we consume in Nigeria are imported, or almost everything we consume are imported. So what that means is that if you allow the exchange rate to continuously slide the way it happened between June and July, then we'll be in a major quagmire. But I'm also happy because I could see today, because talking to our members that work in banking sector, we could see that there are some level of intervention that has brought some relative level of stability. Sheung, you could recall that about a few weeks ago, almost on a daily basis, it was going down by over 50 naira. But as of today, you could see that it's been making some appreciable progress. So
did the government make commitment about taming the price? Because taming the price, to control the price, to tame the price of the product such that it is not arbitrary, and that because the government will tell you that it's being controlled by market forces. And that means that it might be dancing hip-hop or dancing awilo the way it likes, and you find it, because there are also predictions that global price of oil might go higher than it is right now in August, and we are in August. In fact, there are those who are projecting that global price of crude might jump from 1st of August. If that happens, 610 might just be a child's play.
Yeah, so Sheung, two things actually contribute to this pump price that we pay today, majorly. One of them is what you have alluded to, that is the price of crude in international market, one. Then secondly, as well, is also this exchange rate I've talked about. So as of today, if government is able to manage, because which one is really under the control of government? It is not the international price of crude. But what is actually under the control of government normally is, that you can find a way to balance the demand, supply, to pump in more FX into the market. So if you're able to do that, when demand remains relatively constant and you increase your supply, at the end of the day, it will reduce the price a bit. So just to anchor as well, if you look at normally, internationally, except there is a force majeure, during summer, you always have lower demand for crude because during summer, you don't want your heaters and all that in the Western world that you have, but during winter, that's where you have a higher demand. So all these are government may not government may not have the full view on what to be done on that. But the one that we think that they can manage domestically is also issues bordering on the price of, the exchange rate between the naira and
Mr.
the dollar.
Osifo, quickly before we go, this is very important. How the government will appropriate the $800 million they're getting from World Bank, did that come on the table?
Yes. So part of the, I will add that to one other item before we round up. Quickly, on that, one of the things we have said clearly, it was our push that also made government to rethink about that decision. Because, the last time I was here, I queried, or rather we, the organized labor, we queried the database. We queried that, okay, this database, break it down. local government by local government, ward by ward, unit by unit. Break it down so that you go and paste the names in the various wards. Let people verify who are actually these people, and not faceless individuals. So we queried, and at the end of the day, I think the governors also took it up, and that also went down. So the fact that the government, as of today, they have took that back. They said they are reviewing the database. So we are also.
What about the 500 billion?
But one of the
how
things
National Assembly said they will get 70 billion.
Yes, that was one of the flags. If you watch our program to the National Assembly, we said it before them clearly that they cannot ask Nigerians to keep tightening their belts while they are losing theirs. They are getting fat, and Nigerians are getting slim and thinner on a daily basis. That they must sacrifice, and that money that they said they want to share or use it to fix their offices, that for us, the Federal Secretariat today, if you go to some offices there, you will see that the restroom, you can't even go to the restroom. The lifts are not working, the lights are not working, and average Nigerians are suffering. So in Nigeria, we are all equal before both the law and the society. So we must be treated fairly. Then one of the issues we also raised is also the reduction of the cost of governance, which we raised before the president. We told him clearly that there must be concrete actions that you must take to reduce cost of governance, so that at the end of the day, the funds that are available will be plowed into different areas. And we must also do things to encourage made in Nigeria goods. To buy made in Nigeria products.
Did you get commitment in that regard?
They also said they are going to look at that.
All right. So finally, you saw a president that was receptive. Was that the case?
Yes, correct.
He was listening.
Yes, correct.
Did he make any concrete commitment?
Yes. So part of the commitment he made was the issues around the wage award. Our team and their team should look at it and come up with something that is workable between now and the next few days. So that is one of the things we are holding him on.
All right.
Then also, I talked earlier about the refinery as well, that they also made commitment that by the end of the year, it will come on stream. Then also on the issue of CNG, they said by Friday that they are going to make some announcements around that. So these are the few commitments we got from them.
So pending that time, Labour will go back and probably tell your people to hold on and hear from government.
So
is that the case?
We will do that review this evening, and the communication will come and I will share with you.
Thank you so much. Festus Osifo, President of the Trade Union Congress. Thank you so much indeed for your time.
Thank you so
much. And I wish you the very best, you and your colleagues, for the sake of Nigeria, for the sake of the future of our children yet unborn, for the sake of our society. Thank you so much, and I wish you the very best. Thank you so much indeed.
I appreciate it.
We take a break, everyone, but when we come back, our attention will still be on the state of the nation, a ministerial list that the president has transmitted, the screening process, and Nigeria under the Tinubu administration. We'll be right back, everyone. Join us again. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Let's take a conversation forward. I'm being joined by the national chairman of IPAC, Interparty Advisory Council, and the presidential candidate in the 2023 election, Alhaji Abaji Sani. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you for
having me. And I also have Mr. Ayo Oyalo. He's a political economist and also a member of the APC. Thank you so much, Mr. Oyalo, for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me, Sean.
Gentlemen, what a time in our nation. Let me begin with you, Mr. Oyalo. The president has taken a few decisions. The broadcast, the decision to also even investigate the CBN. Yeah. Also, the palliatives, a few decisions. But the state of the economy is still where it is. Labor is being on the street. Do you think that Nigerians have some level of hope? A lot of people say, look, give the president some chance. He's just gotten into office.
Yeah, he's just spent just a little bit over 60 days in office. So we cannot expect that he will solve all problems automatically. Like you rightly stated, he gave a speech on Monday, and I have had cause to also peruse the speech over and over again after his speech, after he had delivered it. And one thing that speech will show to you is that for the first time you have somebody who wants to speak in a language that will communicate to Nigerians directly. He didn't just want to talk for the sake of talking. He wants us to understand. So he has rightly explained what is going on, why they did what they did, and what we should expect in the coming days. So I'm happy with the speech. And in terms of investigating the CBN, I think it's a right call, because if you will remember, I think it was in your studio here where we talked about the agric intervention that CBN has been doing and so many other interventions. it has not yielded the kind of result we expect. So there has been a lot of scandals that was reported in that period before this government came in. We remember the one that involved the anchor borrower program, where billions have been spent on agriculture and there is no result, especially in terms of the rice farming. We know the former MD of the Nigeria Incentive-Based Risk-Sharing System for Agricultural Lending, NARSAL, was removed from office owing to these scandals, and as we speak, he has not been charged to any court. So I believe this investigation of CBN might unearth some of the things that happened, because I understand you say other government businesses too. So I believe what happened under the anchor borrower vis-a-vis the CBN governor that is now under suspension, under investigation, and the former MD of NASA, Aliyu Abdulhamid, should all be made to answer for.
Are you aware there are a lot of investigation going on?
I'm very aware of
yeah. I've been reporting to the EFCC.
Let me finish now. You asked me.
Go ahead. No.
I'm aware of them. In fact, the one that took over from the one that was removed in NASA has been with the DSS and on and off like that. So yes, a lot of investigation is going on. And for me, that is the right thing to do. Because you see, we've been sweeping too many things under the carpet. We cannot continue to sweep under the carpet. You just rightly stated that the economy is struggling. If, for instance, the agricultural plan that the former president had, Buhari presidency had, if the people who handled it have not mismanaged it the way it was mismanaged, we will not have this kind of food inflation we have. And I always say it everywhere. If food is taken away from the problem of the people, the problem is over 50% reduced. But the food inflation is so high because despite the effort, and we must give it to President Buhari, he wanted a lot to do in agriculture and he spent money on it, but people who were supposed to manage it messed it up. So it is clear that they need to be investigated. And I'm happy he said it, that when I leave the office, nobody should come and call me. I did what I need to do. If you don't do what you need to do, if you are arrested and you don't call my name. So those people should be made to answer for their crime. So, and then talking about labor and the economy, I'm happy the man that just left your studio talked about the fact that they saw the president and the president was receptive and he was cooperative. I hope the result of the meeting tonight will show everybody where each one stands. Sometimes we need to talk, because when you talk, you now know better what somebody else is thinking. So hopefully we'll see the result of that. And in terms of the economy, you see, we've had this dichotomy in the foreign exchange, in the CBN, where you can sit in your house and you can get allocation for 430 or 440, and you go to the market and sell for 750. Without doing anything, you can become a multi-millionaire overnight. So it is right that
round tripping.
Yeah, round tripping. It is right that that is stopped. It is right that you crash there. And over time, the Naira will find its own balance. When we begin to, because I saw him also talking about homemade goods, and I know this government has a lot of plans in terms of bringing production to Nigeria. We import too many things that we can actually bring the companies to come and produce in Nigeria. So by the time we begin to, when this government begins to roll out its policy and it begins to take effect, I am 100% sure that things will begin to improve and get better.
Alhaji Abagisani, Ayo is optimistic. Are you?
No. We are not optimistic at all. It appears to me that Mr. President is cherry picking in the area of attacking the root cause of where we are today. Because I have not heard anything about the petroleum industry. The whole reason why we're where we are today is because that industry has been so mismanaged. You talk about round tripping. The real round tripping is in the people who bring empty vessels to Nigeria and collect, the subsidy, the so-called subsidy money. The real round tripping is the agency of the government that was importing this fuel, deliberately destroyed the refineries, paid billions of naira to people who are not working in that refinery, and were collecting the crude oil which was allocated for domestic consumption and will export them and commission and will import
because
refined products.
Because you have been in that sector before.
Yes.
So when you come, you're being in within the NNPC the sector before, and when you say that people are intentionally destroying the refinery,
yes,
is that true?
It's true. I mean,
really?
If I give you Nigerians, it's true, and it has been proved that
by themselves true. Going to
by themselves
intentionally.
How is it possible for Dangote to build a refinery that will produce the entire capacity of the 4 refineries we have in this country, more than even the capacity? what we have is just about 450,000 barrels per day. He is building 600 and something thousand barrels per day. How is it possible for a single individual to do that? And you have a government official that has limitless amount of money and government facilities to ensure that things happen, and they say they can't fix one refinery?
No, I'm interested because you're an insider. You know a lot. When you say that Nigerians were intentionally destroying the refinery,
yes,
could that be right?
It's right. It's right. It's right because we budget money for turnaround maintenance, and nothing is turned around except, more money that is stolen. I mean, 90 reports is to replenish with all these things I'm talking about. How we are losing money, to areas that you can never even explain, and nobody says anything.
The oil and gas sector that you mentioned, yes. If Bola Tinubu is supposed to do something,
yes,
based on your insight,
yes,
you've worked several years there.
Yes, yes.
What do you think he should do immediately?
Oh, what he should do immediately is to do what he's doing now in CBN.
Fire the MD.
You can't say that from the manager, anybody that is a manager status in NNPC should please find something else to do.
Why?
Why? Because they have not delivered.
Would that be fair on them?
It's fair. We are losing billions of dollars. Even the official report by NIT says billions of dollars, 4 billion or even more than that is being lost to recklessness, poor management. And it's deliberate. It's not that it's not that they don't know the right thing to do.
For personal gains.
For personal gains. Wow. That's why I say the president's a cherry picking. He should confront the problem. The problem is that our economy is being burned from two, and the candle is being burned from two ends. You are paying for the subsidy. You are again, paying for the stolen revenue that should have accrued to the nation by way of crude oil theft, which is at its terrible, level today, before Buhari came to power. And Tinubu is continuing with that because nobody has been dealt with.
And if you don't deal with it, we are seeing a quagmire.
Certainly. You can make all the noise you want to make. It's like what Wale was saying. You have a bucket, which has a hole, and you are putting, a
lot of effort and putting a lot of resources.
It's just raining. It's a basket case.
Okay. Sadly. Ayo.
I must say that while I agree with his analysis completely, the only place I can disagree with him is the fact that the president has not confronted the NNPC. I think I was on one of your programs and I actually stated that I also believe that the people running NNPC ought to face the same music like the CBN. However, what I also thought is probably you don't want to put too many things in the bucket at the same time. We'll see how the CBN drama is playing out. But however, I agree that those people running the NNPC ought to be made to face the music. But also I disagree with the fact that he has continued what was going on in the past. Because at least one of the first solutions is to stop paying that criminal stuff called subsidy. That has stopped. However, those who have made our refinery unworkable, I mean, you have about 3 or 4 refineries. People are earning salaries there every day. No doubt about what he said. A lot have gone into what they call turnaround maintenance, has been done year over year, and there's been no result. And the man who's pretendent over it is still sitting there. No, I also think that is a wrong thing. I still think such person should be made to answer. Well, and aside from him, I believe there are a lot of other people involved in this game. So maybe the president will, over time, look at that in industry, but we hope, or I personally hope, it will not take too long before that industry is moved into.
Now. There's an urgency of now.
It needs to do it urgently, immediately.
Yes, definitely.
Like in the state of emergency on food security.
Because you can't bring about these draconian initiatives. Good, yes. From the economy side, it's good. But it's the draconian measures that Nigerians are suffocating. And you are left people that have put us where we are to be, cozy, enjoying, smiling to the bank and everything. And the same thing is going on. And you are chasing shadow that you are.
So it needs to be drastic. That's what you are describing.
There are 2 forms of subsidies. We must deal with them. You are dealing with subsidy on the foreign exchange, isn't it? Because there was subsidy. It's also subsidy. The amount of dollars that MFLA was burning unnecessarily, giving to his friends and whatever, is subsidy. So another subsidy that is even worse than or as bad as Emefiele, is the NNPC subsidy.
Well, let me get your view on this one. The president cannot do the job alone. Yeah. He's recruiting and he's putting up names. 19 people have been added to it, mostly populated by former governors. Are you impressed by that list, Alhaji?
No Nigerian will tell you he's impressed by the list that the president brought out. No Nigerian will tell you.
Are you disappointed?
I'm disappointed, awfully disappointed, because, like I said, Mr. President Tinubu is behaving differently from what I expected of him.
President Buhari did 42. He's going to do 47.
It's not even the number. It's the fact that Nigerians, if you listen to Nigerians, they're telling you recycling is not what President Tinubu should think about. You know why I'm so disappointed? President Tinubu personified the politics of this country, democracy. He lived all his life as a democratic, individual who fought, with his life actually, to ensure that we have democracy that we are enjoying today. So how can you come and then, embark on policies that are anti-people, and you now put people that people don't, some of the people that he put as ministers were rejected by the people. Some of them contested and they were rejected. So how can you bring them back through the back door again and say they must preside over the affairs of the people? That's not the kind of country we want to run. We must begin to give Nigerians confidence.
So you are looking for fresh faces, new faces?
Yes, because if you talk about capacity, you talk about track record, we have people that have capacity and track record. And for God's sake, it's not about one person. But, it's not just the minister. The minister, even in the ministry, the minister does not, work alone. He has experts surrounding him. But if you bring somebody that has baggage of issues, around, surrounding him, and then what do you think the other lieutenants will do?
Yeah,
we want to put a stop to corruption. So don't put faces that personify corruption as your lieutenant, because what the ministers are doing, they are exercising the powers of Mr. President in those ministries. They are the presidents, actually. So don't tell me that these people are you.
So your hope is not renewed at all?
Not yet. My hope is almost dashed.
Oh. Ayo, you are on the inside. Is it feeling mutual from those who are on the outside about the crop of people that the president has put forward?
Well, I'm very impressed with Mr. Wale Edun yesterday when he was cleared. I have people I'm impressed with. I was also impressed with Mr. The son, Lateef Fagbemi, and a few others. The other people, I will have to wait and see, because I don't want to talk about things I really have little knowledge about. I was impressed by my Egbon Nasir El-Rufai, the former governor of Kaduna State. Yeah, he knows his onions. I think there are a few good names there. However, for the other ones, they will have to prove themselves. And I don't want to dismiss
people. Do you imagine, Ayo Yalo, that your party, Bola Tinubu government, would bring former governors and a lot of...
No, I always think there will be some former governors.
A lot of critics have said bringing some of these governors is just for political benefits. They're just paying back maybe those who owes some political...
Sometimes we like to jump onto cliché. Even if you are a Christian or a Muslim like my father here, you are serving God because there is a benefit attached to it. So if people are in politics, they are looking for something. So I really don't see anything wrong in people getting benefit for where they work for. If they actually worked, for instance, some of these governors worked for him to win his mandate. So there's compensation on one side. Let me finish. There's compensation on one side, but there is competence on the other side. That's why I mentioned for you people that I am really, really, really impressed with, because I believe these are people who bring in competence to the table. And I believe they are the ones who will run the economy. Someone like a Wale Edun, for instance, very impressive name, great resume, excellent track record. Those are people that I expect to run the economy. And for me, it satisfies everything I think.
Yeah, I see some quality on this list also. Yeah, there is a Bosun Tijani. There is a few names who they have done so much for themselves in the private sector.
Exactly.
But other than that,
there's also Muhammad Idris.
The party, the doctor, Professor Patti, is most likely going to be heading the health ministry. That's another excellent name. In fact, it just went off my head. That's another excellent name. So
There
yes,
is a medical doctor who is an expert in kidney and what have you, is being in the United States, who is on the new list.
What's the name?
There is a guy who one of those who pioneered IT, it's IC Hub or CC Hub or something.
And for the first time, we're having a citizen or an indigene of the FCT, Gisalo.
Yeah,
For the first time, we've never had someone from FCT being in the cabinet. So we can't throw everything out of the way. Yes, there are some things that you think could be done better, but largely and by, it's not as bad as people are trying to make it look for political reasons. Like I said, everybody who is doing whatever they are doing are looking for something.
Don't you think that a lot of Nigerians have high hopes for Bola Tinubu?
No, Bola Tinubu will succeed. He will succeed.
No. It's a matter of expectation. That
I have expectation myself. So I believe he will succeed. Okay, for instance, the Labour man that came here told you that they had a discussion with him. And you could see how positive the discussion went. So that means he's somebody who is hands-on. We saw how he changed his mind on some policies he wanted to roll out. So it tells you he listens. Right. So unlike the part that you just talk and talk, nobody's listening. For the first time, we're having a president who is going to listen. Even if he makes a mistake, he's prepared to correct his mistakes.
You say your hopes are dashed. But almost. For some of these things...
Almost dashed.
Almost dashed.
Yes, because there are good things that I've seen.
Yeah.
Like engaging with Nigerians. Exactly. I hope he keeps it on.
He will.
To be regular.
He's a Democrat.
If not fortnightly, at least once in a month. And then I don't want him to sit in that chair where it's like, if you are, I want him to copy, what Jonathan was doing in a relaxed, manner. Yeah. Have conversation with people like you, who will ask questions, and then he will give answers to reassure Nigerians that, I'm there for you. Yeah. That is very important.
I'm actually hoping to see President Tinubu in Wuse Market one of these days.
No, I don't think.
I'm hoping. No. He's a president of the Nigerian people. I'm hoping to see him in a supermarket. Let him feel what Nigerians are feeling. It's difficult. As a big man, you may not. There are presidents in the United States who go.
Perception matters.
They call it photo ops anyways. Yes. They go and have lunch or dinner with people. They go and buy
common people.
It's one of those things. You need to interface with the Nigerian people.
You still have to look at the security implication of those kind of things.
This thing, if an American president goes on the street...
He doesn't. No American president will do that. No American president. I don't know about UK, but American president, before he goes out, the amount of security that will have gone into that eventually renders it.
On the president of Syria who went to...
that is because he has eliminated all his enemies now. We saw how he killed people with chemical...
The point of making is
we can't use Syria as a proper example.
We are hoping...
As terrorized as Syria is.
But he terrorized his people. He killed them with chemical weapons. So it's a dangerous example to use.
We have a freedom to hope. Since the agenda of this government is renewed hope.
Even Alaji, my father here just said his hope is not fully dashed. So it will be renewed, hopefully. Alaji, your hope will be renewed. I can assure you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. My hope is one of these days I will see President Tinubu at Wuse Market.
I thought you would say you should come to your studio. That would have been better.
That would have been a good one.
There's one downside.
Yes.
I have not seen representation of the opposition parties in the cabinet. It's bad.
As a matter of...
given
what about...
but there's Houston Wike is an opposition. He's a PDP member.
That's a toxic representation of...
Well, I don't know about that, but that's an opposition.
No. Please, don't. You are again missing the point. The point I'm making is that Mr. President should, be able to look beyond APC.
Gentlemen, we are totally out of time. Thank you, Alhaji Abaji Sani, National Chairman of IPAC, Ayoyalawa political economist and a member of the APC. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
So as long as we are hoping, you also as Nigerians can keep hoping and keep looking forward to a brighter and a better day. That's all we have. It's for free. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I'm sure I'll see you tomorrow again. God bless Nigeria.